Hey, good morning, channel. Welcome back. It is once again a frosty Saturday morning. Alright, well, it's interesting. I'm controlling the camera by voice command. And it just, STOPPED recording. Maybe I said something that made it sound like that, I don't know. And welcome back to the channel, guys. You'll remember in my last video we were talking about this INNOVV blind spot detection system. Boy, have we had conversations this week directly with INNOVV and a few others via email, and they've been very responsive. They're very curious, you know, what our issues are. And you'll remember my issue was that the way I have installed these very cleanly, the wire, here's the layout. There's a base unit under the seat. That base unit has a radar coming off of it attached to a wire that has a disconnect in the middle of the wire going, and the radar is on the back shelf of the bike facing backwards. That's all great. That works great. By the way, I pulled it off the bike. It's not on the bike right now. We'll get to that in a minute. But then also out of the base unit that's under the seat, it's got two satellite lighted little markers that go up on your mirrors on the left and the right that show you whether a car is coming up on the left or the right. It lights up, kind of like the lights in your mirror on your car. It just lights up. These satellite indicators are connected by the tiniest of wire. It looks like a single wire that's about 24 mil at best, maybe even smaller. 24 gauge, excuse me, 24 gauge at best. And the way I installed it, I snaked it under the side cowl, the middle cowl here, from the base unit under the seat so that it wouldn't get crimped on anything. I run it up through the front fairing, through the side view mirror housing, into the side view mirror casing, and out from behind the mirror and attached to the casing itself. I did not attach it to the mirror, but it is attached to the side view mirror casing by 3M tape. Now what you've done is effectively tethered the mirrors to the bike. You know, before, the mirror has, you know, for the turn signals, that's an unpluggable thing from the factory with Honda. You can unplug the mirror, take the entire mirror assembly off, so that you can do things like take off the side cowl. Well, now that I had installed it this way, you couldn't see wires anywhere. I mean, expertly installed in there, looked great, but it had tethered the mirror to the bike with about 6 to 12 inches of play, and that's it. So I could no longer take the mirrors off the bike, and that made it very inconvenient. So I had the smart idea that I was going to cut that little wire. Surely I can put a connector in there, like a Wago connector, and then I could just disconnect it like I do the other wire in the mirror when I needed to. Well, to my surprise, when I cut that tiny wire, there were 3 even tinier wires inside. I mean, we are getting down to fiber optic cable thread size wires in there, like 3 of them, and they were different colored. And because there were 3 wrapped in the shroud of 1, you know that they are sheathed in some way, coated, covered, whatever, because why have 3 if they're touching each other? That defeats the purpose. Well, now that would take 3 Wago connectors, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And last week Cruiseman had a connector that he thought would work. But as I started trying to strip those 3 tiny wires, I just made a mess of things. Like, I don't know what's on them. Wax. Somebody indicated it might be wax instead of plastic coating. Well, you can't strip away wax, you know. And I can't solder the things together, because if that's wax, now the wax is melting and you're back to their touching, and it's just a mess. So I removed the whole thing. So INNOVV is very keen on, you know, what are you guys looking for? And I think more recent versions of the INNOVV blind spot detection system that have the mirror, they make 2 kinds. The mirror kind that we've been talking about goes on your mirrors. There's also a medallion kind that goes on your dashboard if you just want a center medallion, or maybe your center stock if you have a different kind of bike or whatever. It might be more convenient to have the medallion kind. Well, not for the Goldwings, but we like the mirror kind. Anyway, on their new mirror kind, I've seen a picture where they have, in fact, put a disconnect in that tiny little wire. But here's the rub. They put the disconnect way down by the base unit under the seat. Well, that does me no good. I don't want to have to fish out. Now, regardless of taking the middle cowl off or not, I realize you don't have to do that. You can use a giant zip tie to fish wires through that middle cowl. I realize you don't have to take off the middle cowl, but who wants to do that every time you're working on the bike or have to take the mirrors off? Pull that long wire out and refish it with the connector on the end, which is going to make it more difficult. Refish it through the body of the bike, so you can get it back connected underneath the seat. I mean, good idea, but wrong placement. They need that connector 12 inches from the indicator light that gets stuck to your mirrors. That's where they need that disconnect. Anyway, I don't know where it's going to end up. They've heard our complaints. Oh, and I also have a complaint, which I don't think will ever be solved, that the blind spot detection does not detect a car like these 2 on my side right here. It does not detect it if I'm overtaking them. Now, in this case, they were overtaking me, so it detects that just fine. Does a great job. But if I was going 20 miles an hour faster here and I was coming up on them, and I passed them as they moved into my blind spot heading behind me, it would not light up. So if they sped up for some reason and stayed in my blind spot, it would not illuminate. Whereas on my car, it doesn't matter from which direction a car is in my blind spot, whether it came from the front or came from the back. If it's in my blind spot, it lights up in my car's mirror. That's the kind of activity I would like to see with this, but it does not work if you on the bike are overtaking, coming up on the car. The car has to be coming from the back for it to work. And they started citing all kinds of widths and advanced radar, this, that, and the other. Okay. I'm just saying, this is what I want. If you can do it, great. If you can't, maybe it's not for me. It might be for you, like I said. That's a small percentage of the time that you're overtaking a car and that it stays in your blind spot, and you need to know, I would say. That's a small percentage. I would just like to see it. So we're just kind of a wait and see what they do with that. I don't know. I took the system completely off the bike. I've got it in a box at home, and I don't think I'll ever be able to fasten a connector to it, because I don't get those tiny little wires. Nothing seems to work, and you can't solder it. You don't even want to heat shrink anything around it, because you're going to melt the wax. So I'm screwed. I asked if I could just buy the indicators by themselves instead of the whole system again, radar and everything. Yeah, they do sell the base unit forward if you want to buy that. You don't have to buy the radar unit again. But that's $129. Yeah, just not in the cards for me. So that is an update on the bike situation. Otherwise, the bike is flawless. The bike is wonderful. The bike is perfect. I'm going to stop and grab some coffee, guys, so I'll be back with you in half a second. Please don't go. We'll be right back. Alright, so, you know, there's been a couple of suggestions on my videos and through emails that you could use a Velcro connector for that light indicator on the mirrors rather than 3M sticky tape. And then when you needed to take the mirror off, you just simply unvelcro the indicator light. And that's the best solution I've heard so far. Because the wire fishes up within the side view mirror housing itself, it would still make it difficult to take off. You'd have to unassemble the mirror housing to get the wire out of there. So, you know, that would be not the best, but a better solution than just having it permanently tethered. You could also somehow put the indicator lights on something other than the side view mirrors. Put them on the sides of your dashboard. That's an option. And then they're not tethered to the mirror at all. But then you might as well get the medallion if you're going to go that route. I don't know. There's no good answers here. I think I'll have my coffee and ponder it a little more. Also, I recently pre-ordered the new MacBook Pro 16-inch with the M4 chip that just got announced. Yeah, my current MacBook Pro is the 2019 version that was right before they introduced Apple Silicon, when they were still using the Intel chips in the MacBook Pros. And it's been a great machine, but I'll tell you, ever since this M4 one was announced, my current MacBook has been acting up like crazy, running slow, won't let me export videos without a lot of gymnastics. And you gotta wonder, is that programmed into this thing so that it auto ages itself and forces you to buy a new one? Because it was flawless up until about 6 months ago, and then just, you know, part of it is I've filled up the internal 2 terabyte hard drive in there, and I cleaned all that up, and that helped it, you know, act a little better. But it's certainly not the machine it was when I first bought it, and I don't understand why, because it's, you know, 5 years old. It should be better than that. Anyway, so I pre-ordered through B&H the 16-inch MacBook Pro M4 chip, 48 gigabytes of memory, 2 terabyte SSD, internal SSD, and I'll be excited when that comes in. Okay. I'll be excited when that comes in to get it all set up, get it running, and start processing on it and see how much better this Apple Silicon is over the Intel. Everybody raves about it, so we'll see. Also, in about 3 weeks, just slightly over 3 weeks, I will be heading off to Iceland to get a lot of great content for my other channel, Robert White Photography. If you don't know about my other channel, go search for it at Robert White-Photography on YouTube. It's got some great videos on there from places like the Faroe Islands and Antarctica and Colorado. And now I hope to add some great videos from Iceland. So that's happening in 3 weeks. All right, well, that is the story on the INNOVV product. So we will see what develops with that. I've had my coffee. Time to take a beautiful early morning sunlit ride back home. and enjoy the rest of my weekend. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and your week. We will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me. Until we talk again, ride safe and God bless.